Okay. Hey, it's so good to see you guys.
Nice to see you.
Hey, ladies.
Well, I am quite excited about our topic today, talking about behavior, its impact on everyday life, and all the theorists. I don't know about you.
I'm excited too. We've learned a lot.
Yeah, it's a journey. I think it's still going. Some of the things that I learned, I know just these last couple of weeks is not going to be the final end of it. So I'm
Hmm.
interested in discussing it with you guys and getting your feedback.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Well, to introduce ourselves, my name is Amanda Whitaker, and I am in my 11th year of teaching. I teach first grade at Compton Elementary.
I'm Kim Crawford. I teach second grade at Hendricks Elementary, and this is my ninth year.
And I'm Ashley Latazori. I also teach second grade at Still Elementary, and this is my ninth year as well.
I think it's kind of fun how like our schools are all close to each other. So like it worked out with us being, grouped together that we feel like we have a proximity of kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like our
It was,
similarities in the schools and stuff.
yeah, it's easy to like discuss
The
what
problems and
problems we
the
have going on.
pros, the cons, everything in
Right.
between.
Right. And it makes me feel good that no matter what school you're at, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So so as we start out, I don't know about you guys, but my biggest self-development was procrastination. So throughout this project, I really focused on how the procrastination is in my personal life. As a teacher, I don't know about y'all, but I am pretty organized at school, which is kind of a shock compared to my lack of organization at home.
Yeah.
Especially on long, exhausting days, which I know that you guys can relate to.
Yeah.
And so at first I kind of saw it as like a lack of discipline because, if I can do this at school, why can't I do it at home?
hmm
But I realized it's more just fatigue. And then that fatigue would turn into avoiding small tasks. And then it turned into, I'll do that later. But then I'll do that later turns into a couple days later.
Yeah.
For me,
So,
it turns into never.
right.
Right? Like the moment I get home from school, I'm just like, I'm out of sight, out of mind. I don't feel like doing anything.
For sure. But one positive in that is that I learned that the behavior is influenced by the environment through Albert Bandura, how he explained that surroundings shape behavior, and that's why I'm more productive at school. Like I have, the set schedule, set things to do. But
Yeah.
then I get home and I walk my dog, and I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, and it's like you're home, so you're comfortable in your own area. So it's like it's not bothering anyone, so it's
Right.
fine, I think, when it's your own chaos.
Hmm.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So definitely seeing these theorists and the explanations of the behavior made me feel more at ease with it. Like
hmm
it's not just a me problem, it's a human problem, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Okay, so my development journey, even though I also struggle with procrastination, my problem is opposite. I chose a work problem, which was really stress eating during our CCCs every week. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
We love a good
have bowls of
snacks in like
candy,
the CCC room.
snacks.
Yep.
Yeah, and my CCC is first thing in the morning. So my breakfast
Same.
is like
Ours
a
is too.
Reese's
Mine is too.
and my coffee. And I have a gluten allergy, so luckily I can't touch the donuts, but I'm reaching in that candy bowl like nonstop for the first 45, 50 minutes of my day.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, how can I fix this? And so I just turned to sweets as like a coping mechanism. And so once I became aware of that, I was like, I have to fix this. So yeah, we'll dive into the theories on, in the later slides, but I was like, I got to get this fixed because if not, I'm going to be eating candy like every single day for breakfast, especially now it's like end of the school year. So I don't know about you ladies, but
I I don't like chocolate and I never have, so I purposely buy chocolate so I don't eat it in
What?
my classroom.
Well, we'll talk with my theories. I will have to say, give y'all a sneak peek. I had to get rid of the chocolate out of my classroom. I just had to stop buying it. So we'll talk about that in
Yeah.
why later.
I keep M&Ms in my room as like rewards, which I know I try not to reward with like food, but sometimes an M&M is a good little carrot to dangle.
Right.
And so, but I keep mini M&Ms. So it's if I eat a few, it's not as bad.
You don't feel as guilty because it's
Right.
tiny. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my self-development journey, I kind of wanted to focus on a few areas in my life that I knew needed improvement, and procrastination is one. Also losing weight. I'm about to have a baby, so I know I'm going to have, baby weight to lose. But the one that I focused on the most, I think that impacts me the most was my anxiety. It stood out as like the biggest struggle. And like I have anxiety with my health, relationships, and just like everyday life in general. And so I tend to like think of worst case scenario like all the time, even if it's just like a minor issue. I'm constantly Googling and trying to like reassure myself that it's nothing. And that just sends me spiraling even more. And I know it's something that hasn't like developed overnight. It's over time, everything, all the experiences that I've gone through in my life has caused it. And so I'm just trying to like work through, some different ways to manage my anxiety and like bring my stress and just overall anxiety about everything down.
Yeah. I love your anxiety icon because I feel like that's just it a little bit in every teacher, like the I have anxiety.
Yeah, especially like this time of year when it's like, oh, you've got to do all these assessments and report
Oh
cards, and
yeah,
I'm about to be out on maternity leave, and I've never not finished the classroom or the school year before, or I'm not starting the school year. And so it's just like my
right.
anxiety right now is very heightened.
Oh,
And then so oh, I don't know if we want to edit this out. This is like what I did
well, let's talk about what
to
you did. How did you fix
okay.
your, how are you working on your
So
journey?
to start on my journey, I started journaling this year. I was scrolling through Instagram and TikTok and all those things, and I saw these bullet journals. I don't know if you guys have ever
Yes.
heard of a
My
bullet
teammate,
journal.
she loves bullet journals, but she also has
Well,
really nice handwriting.
right. And so I love doodling, and I'm always doodling on like papers and everything during meetings, and so I decided this year to kind of help with my anxiety. I would kind of journal when I did have negative thoughts and like ways that I could kind of turn it into a positive. I also started I bought an aura ring to like track to see like, was it certain times of the day when
That's
my
smart.
stress and anxiety got the best of me. Um, Obviously, therapy was something that I've been doing for years, and that's really helped me. And then just kind of redirecting my mind, saying, okay, we're going to look at this in this way versus worst case scenario.
Mm,
And
I
I've
like
seen
that.
like some improvement over the last couple weeks, especially with my journaling. I just I make it a point to like journal when I am feeling stressed, and then at the end of the week, normally on like Sunday mornings, I'll kind of wake up and look back over, my week and see, okay, were there certain things that triggered me or what did I do to like help myself kind of calm down? So, and then my aura ring, I can't go anywhere without it.
I think that's really cool that you go and reflect, like
Yeah.
looking back at it. I mean, I found journals from middle school and stuff that was really simple, but I've not been a big journaler as I've gotten older. So I think that's really cool. You've really stuck to it
Yeah.
and then can reflect on, what you've seen and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, going with my other development, the student I focused on, it's a student in my class, and so he's 7. He has a very big difficulty with anger. As you see, I have anger here because that kind of embodies him when he's in his like biggest blow up moments. Um, the biggest thing is really this is the self-regulation. Like quickly he goes from 0 to 100. Like
Hmm.
there's not a gradual where you could kind of help him come back down. It just instantly happens. And so that's something that has really been disruptive to my room, not just to himself, but to the other 16 kids in my class, and then to my teaching day. And I mean, the littlest things can set him off. It can be a no, I'm sorry, no, not right now. He told me the other day that I'm his trigger, or I trigger him because I tell him he can't do things. And I said, well, you can't jump off my furniture. So I'm going to tell you no every time.
Yeah. I have
Like, I'm
one.
sorry.
Yeah. I have a student like that as well where, I have to be careful kind of like how I word things with him because it
Mhm.
will set him off. And he has no coping skills at all to like calm himself down.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have, it's really made me reflect as a teacher in my teaching skills, my teaching management, over the year of I'm sure what I'm learning from him, I can take obviously with me with other students because he's not the first student I've had with anger, with major anger problems, as I'm sure you guys are in the same
Hmm.
boat.
Yes.
And so really breathing is his first go-to. And so giving him that choice, like he knows he can go get water, he can walk with a trusted adult to our sensory room, the calming corner, that kind of thing. Something we've kind of implemented that's new is the zones of regulation, which I'm sure you guys have heard about
Hmm.
that, know about
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
And so he has a folder, and it's not quite worked like I've hoped because often the folder gets thrown when and
Yikes.
so that's something we're still working on, you
Right.
know. But just every morning, not just for him, but like as a class, we review how can we calm down when we're feeling like our emotions are getting the best of us. And as a class, we go over those different things. And then also I've really focused on pointing out the smallest positives with him to try to help, build
Hmm.
that. I don't know about you guys, but we are a PBIS school. And
Hmm.
so, the students earn
Absolutely.
points. And so, I try to give him 1 point for something, 2 points, just building up little things to hopefully help change things for the better. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
just making sure you recognize
Does he
all like
have
the little
that at
things.
home as well? Like, is that something that's kind of practiced at home?
Right. Well, so at home, he has the anger, but he doesn't like throw things at home. So there is that little bit of difference. And of course, the home situation, like I'll talk more about it kind of with the environment
Yeah.
stuff with the theories,
Fine.
but he um he does have a decent home situation, what I would call that, but
Right.
it's still not fully consistent. So like I'm
Mm.
doing all these things, mom is trying some of these things, they only work part of the time,
Yeah.
and something that works one day won't work another day, as I'm sure you guys, that's like the basis of teaching.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, so it's been a very good, I think it's probably been one of my best moments in my teaching is just learning to work with him and grace, lots of grace for everybody,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, so my other developmental journey, I had a student as well that had some anger problems. I probably should have used an angry emoji, but I use like the little rolling eyes emoji. I have an eighth grade student named Amari, and her parents are just stating like for the most part, she can be really helpful, but then it's like a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, she's an eighth grade girl.
Mhm.
So sometimes, she can be disrespectful, she can be frustrated, have those emotional outbursts that teenage girls do. And then, typical consequences. The cell phones are taken, the TV is taken. But the behavior is like temporary. It's like,
Hmm.
why is the behavior okay once those things are removed? But then
Mm.
when they're given back, all of a sudden those behaviors start again. And so for me and my developmental project with her, it was really learning and highlighting like her developmental needs and seeing beyond just like an attitude, like, how can I help her parents understand that we need to figure out the why and the developmental needs rather than just saying like, oh, here's this like angry or like raging teenage girl. So,
Hmm.
um, I don't know, like I have feelings about technology with kids even in middle school.
Mhm.
Sometimes I
I
think
probably
it
have
would
some
be
of the same thoughts.
easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I think it might be easier if they're just not exposed to it as early, but here we are, and so we have to make the best of it.
Yeah. Sadly, that's our world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
younger
Sometimes I
and
will do,
younger.
yeah, I'll do a no technology day. Like my kids will get on iReady for their 10 minutes that they need or 15 minutes they need that day, and that's it.
Hmm.
We won't do any other technology. Like I mean, obviously I'll teach from the smart board, but they won't use theirs, trying to help that.
Well,
Right.
and mine like freak out when if the internet goes out, they're like, what are we gonna do? I'm like, we're
Yeah, we're
gonna
gonna still
still
survive.
learn,
Right.
just not with our computers.
Right. We got a whiteboard, I got some markers. Like,
Yep. So my other development journey, I focused on a family friend of mine, Elena. We've been friends for 15 years, since high school. And when we were in our junior slash going into our senior year, she got mixed up and started having struggles with addiction. She played softball and softball kind of got taken away from her. And so she lost like that group that we had um, that was supportive and positive and kind of got mixed in with the wrong group and started drugs, alcohol, and eventually got like heavier drugs. And then she kind of lost her self identity and was in and out of rehab over the last 10 years. And so I wanted to kind of talk about things that I'm doing now because recently she had her, I would say, rock bottom, um, where she was found unresponsive, and then she's been in rehab for the last year. And this is the longest time she's been away, and the only time where she had like no communication with anyone back home for the first 11 months. So within the last month and a half, she's just started to have communication with us back home. And so I kind of wrote about what I did to kind of help her and myself deal with not being able to communicate with her, and honestly, like not being able to relate
Hmm.
to what she was going through because I've never been there. Um, but I focused on positive reinforcement with her, like just trying to focus on the good that's happening versus what did happen in the past. Um, once she got her phone back, I started daily communication, whether it was text, we would write letters back and forth when she didn't have her phone, and then helping her set like smaller goals because she was struggling with trying to deal with everything at one time. And that reminded me a lot of myself with my anxiety. So I
Hmm.
kind of helped her, okay, let's set smaller goals. And once you reach that, then we can move on to the next thing and breaking down overwhelming tasks and activities for her just to be able to kind of focus on the present, what she needs to do now versus 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, or even, at the end of the week. And this situation showed me like how our behavior and actions are shaped by like who we hang out with and our environment. And before this, she was just in such a toxic environment, and that really shaped what she did and how she handled even like the smallest inconvenience. Um, and then now, obviously, she went out of state for rehab, which was the first time she's ever done that. And she actually decided to stay in the town where she was at instead of come home. And so now she's got her own place over there, but she's not staying like in the rehab house with everyone else, but she's kind of close by to where she can still like go to meetings and go get the help that she needs when she is struggling, which is, I was really proud of her because this was the first time she's ever done that. Like she's always just come home, fallen back into the same routines, a month or two after she's gotten back. And so yeah, I will, you know, talk about more about the theories and everything that I um, use to help her. But she is doing really well now, and she's been sober for a year. So
That's amazing. That's
yeah.
really good news. So with our theorists, I really focused on Vygotsky, Bandera, and Erickson, which I think they're pretty popular, especially in our age groups. But one theory that stood out to me from Vygotsky, he explained that the development skills through support, or sorry, that we have to develop skills through support before we can do them independently, which makes sense. You got to practice, have someone
Hmm.
show you what to do before you can, do it yourself. So as far as my procrastination at home, I realize that it's happening because I don't have the same structure that I do at work. You know what I mean? Like we talked about how I can come home, walk my dog, and then I get to sit on the couch. I'm not having to go make copies or go do
Hmm.
this or answer 100 questions.
Yeah.
And so having a structure at home has helped. Like I created a checklist that was very manageable, that I'm able to come home and the tasks take me maybe 10 to 15 minutes, like vacuum living room, done, task for the day. you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then as for Bandura, his theory also helped me to see that behavior is shaped by the environment and reinforcement. And at work, productivity is reinforced through expectations and accountability. So I started applying that at home by rewarding myself with a after the task. So I love watching TV and I also love reading. And I'm bad about doing those instead of the tasks. So that was my reward for myself. You have those guilty pleasure shows that are your favorite,
Mm-hmm.
like mine's The Office. My mom will call me and say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Watching The Office." She's like, "Again?" I'm like, "Yes, again."
Yeah.
Um, so rewarding myself, like, oh, I can read a chapter of this book, or I'll watch one
Yeah.
episode because I did this,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And same that goes with my student TJ, in my classroom. He's watching me, the environment of our classroom, I'm having to really reshape so that he can apply those behaviors that we want to see. And with his mom trying these new strategies, I'm hoping the environment at home, because his parents live in separate homes. They're involved. They just live in separate homes and mom and dad parent differently. So it's like I can't change much of that environment,
Mm-hmm.
but we gave mom a ton of strategies that I'm doing in the classroom, hoping she can help his environment at home,
Yeah.
to create that accountability, and
Mm-hmm.
she's been rewarding him. I sent home his favorite stickers that I have in my room. I just sent home a bunch in a bag for
Mm.
him to have so mom can reward him. I was like, I'll give you whatever you need.
Yeah.
um and then with Erickson, his theory reminded me that growth continues into adulthood. And it helped me reframe my procrastination as part of my ongoing development rather than seeing it as a failure. Like, oh, I'm so exhausted because my room got destroyed 3 times in one day. That was me yesterday. I came home and did nothing. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
see that as a failure. I saw that as like I have to just let my brain relax.
Yeah.
I couldn't go straight into a task, but I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And I tell the kids all the time, like, just because you're a grown adult doesn't mean that I know everything. You know,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to continue to grow and learn, and that, it doesn't stop when you turn 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to kind of like reiterate with them a lot because I think that that's exactly the mindset. It's like, oh, when I become an adult, I'm going to know everything. And it's like, no, we're
Yeah.
still learning too. We're still
Yep.
growing. We're still changing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hope, having the kids see that I still make mistakes, even though I'm a human and I'm grown up, I still make mistakes, but I'm learning and growing. Hopefully
Hmm.
they can take that mindset and keep it with them,
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
they go.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I'm not gonna really go as much more like in the strategies just yet because I know we're gonna dive into that a little bit later. But for me, I focus on three theories. So the learning theory, of course, the environment shaping the behavior. I'm an adult, so I really have the final say in what is around me. If I don't control what is around me, I have the power to say no. So I've had to learn to say no a lot, especially lately with the meetings or the end of year things that kids are bringing or other teachers are bringing. So I've had to learn how to control my behavior around my environment. My weekly snack runs I make with my own kids. I've had to learn how to reprogram my brain to say, okay, I'm not going to the sweet aisle. I'm going over here to the fruits and vegetables, and I grab a vegetable tray or a fruit tray. So I'm learning to kind of like change my environment because if I don't, I'm still going to be tempted. Piaget's formal, post-formal thought also applied because it was like, am I making choices that are going to be long term? Like, these are going to affect me long term. So it was like, I had to think about this is not really like something I'm doing for this class. In the moment, I have to think about like, when this class ends, I don't want to still be making like these poor choices. Like, I want to make sure
Mhm.
this is a long term standing uh I guess you could say goal that I want to accomplish because like Ashley mentioned, like we're all kind of like on this journey of like health, especially when you become an adult. So it's like I don't
Yeah.
want this to be a temporary thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then being a mom of teenagers, Erickson's generativity stood out because I have to model healthy habits for them. They're not in elementary anymore, but they ride in the car with me and catch the bus. So they getting ready to head to my meetings. They see me reaching in my fridge. And so it's like, if they're asking me for cookies and Doritos first thing in the morning, and I'm like, no, you can't have that, then why am I doing it? So it's like, I have to set the right tone for my own kids. So it's like, I can't tell them no, and then I'm turning around and doing what I just told them they couldn't do.
Right.
So I've had to like change up my day. So like now instead of reaching for the sweets, I go straight to my coffee maker and I make tea. And I might squeeze a lemon in there. And while I'm making it, now I gotta make my son a cup. So I'm making 2 cups. It's like it's funny because it's like I'm changing my habits, but now I'm kind of like changing theirs too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And then I also, for my other development for the eighth grader that I was studying, um, we dove into Piaget with abstract thinking. So it's like um, kids at her age, they can think abstractly and they can think like out of the box, but they can't always apply that in emotional stances. And so I also like d dove into Erickson's identity versus role confusion, because again, teenager, who am I, like, or who is she? And so I think a lot of teenagers, they're questioning like, where do they fit in? Where do they belong? And a lot of that can be shaped by their environment, but they also have to learn like what is making them comfortable, what is going to make them okay in the long standing. And then that their behavior, like talking to her parents, and even like as a teacher, this was kind of eye-opening. Like you see it and you know that kids are acting out because of other situations. And it's a lot of times we think, oh, maybe there's some like environmental things going on at home, but also it's not just environmental and it's not just their age, it's a developmental thing. So it's like,
Yeah,
what is appropriate for her being in eighth grade versus just thinking, oh, she just needs to be disciplined and the phone needs to be taken forever. No.
right.
Why is she behaving that way? And what are
Hmm.
some things we can help her until she's out of that developmental stage? So
Hmm.
I think as a teacher for me, it was like, okay, I got to start looking at some of my kids more in their developmental stage. Like, where are they and what can I do? Because yeah, we can give them the PBIS points, but like, what is really gonna like help them until they're out of that phase or that stage? And those
Right.
stages can last years. So it's like,
Hmm.
even though we have them, we're only having them for a few months. And
Hmm.
so the things that we give them, we got to be able to make sure that they can use those tools within the next like few years, getting them through high school.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
So some of the theorists that I focus on for myself, it was the cognitive theory and Erickson's psychosocial theory. Um, the cognitive theory just kind of reminded me that our thoughts are influenced by our emotions and behavior. So, for me, it showed that my anxiety comes from learned thinking patterns from my past experiences. And my brain, like I said earlier, automatically goes to like worst case scenario. Like I grew up in Florida, so I did not go to the dermatologist for the first time until I was like 25. And so every spot that she cuts off now, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's melanoma and I'm going to have 6 months to live. And then a week later, I get a phone call saying, oh, it's fine. And then I'm fine. So just kind of like I said earlier, helping retrain my brain, like, okay, that spot's been there forever. It's
Yeah.
probably nothing. Let's jot it down in our journal.
Yeah. There you go.
Um, and then with Erickson's theory, intimacy versus isolation, I, long story short, I had a 10-year relationship that ended suddenly in a divorce, in my 20s. We started dating in high school and then got married, and it was like out of the blue, he just left. And so there was no signs of anything.
Mm.
And after that, like my sense of trust and emotional security was like really affected. And I did not trust anybody. I was like, I'm never going to have the life that I always dreamed that I would have. And it turned into, again, fearing the worst. And then when I did finally find someone and get remarried, and now we're having a baby, my fear of losing what I have now
It's creeping back in a
is
little.
creeping
Yeah.
back up because it's like, okay, I finally found my happiness, so to say. I'm living the life that I've always dreamed of, and now what's going to happen to take it away?
Hmm.
And so these series kind of help me understand that my anxiety is just part of my development and experiences throughout my life, and just being consistent and, you know,
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your strategies on that because I feel like you kind of just mirrored my life.
yeah,
Um, like we're in premarital counseling right now, but it's like those little thoughts just creep back, like that trust. So I'm
yeah,
very curious to see how
yeah,
the strategies are, what you decided to do with that.
yeah. And then so for my friend Elena, I focused on Vygotsky's theory of that development is shaped by social interactions and environment. And like with that, her addiction and relapse was strongly influenced by the people she was around. So she would go through rehab, become clean, and then go back right back to where she was. And so I knew she needed to break those relationships and just find a new friend group or social group and environment altogether. And then I also focused on Van Dora's social learning theory that our behaviors are learned through observation and reinforcement. So when she was struggling, she would see other people try to fix her problems with drugs and alcohol and
Hmm.
think that that was the only way to help her. And so, in the beginning, she learned unhealthy behaviors from the people and her environment. And then slowly over the last year, she's learned like there are other ways to cope and deal with the struggles that everybody has, because life isn't always rainbows and unicorns. You're going to have hard days,
Right.
Right.
and you have to learn how to, cope and find, um, positive and supportive people that will be there for you and help you work through it versus, her old habits. And so both of these allowed her and I to understand like how powerful the environment and relationships are in shaping, our behavior every day.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah. So, some growth insights that I had on myself. The biggest thing was that I had to relearn, retrain my brain was that procrastination is not laziness. Like, there's a reason, you know what I mean? It's not just like because I just don't want to do it. And it's all about the energy and emotions you're going through in that moment because some days I can be much more productive, when I get home. Like today, I've done several loads of laundry,
Yeah.
that because it's Saturday and my brain is refreshed and stuff like that. But then, when I'm tired and I'm not wanting to do anything, that even through all that, structure matters no matter what, because that helps keep your brain on task. And for me, that was the big thing for it.
Yeah.
um, and then for my student, kind of like how I already said, and we both have are all said that behavior is developmental. So like watching him from the beginning of the year till now, there's changes, good and bad. And that these skills that I'm trying to enlist in him are going to take time. He's
Yeah.
not going to learn these breathing and realizing, being able to vocalize, I'm, in the red zone, I'm not quite ready to go to yellow or whatever, realizing and vocalizing himself. It's going to take time. Being
Mm-hmm.
able to say, I need a drink of water to calm down. He's gotten to that point. He can tell me that. Then he goes and runs down the hall. It's
Yeah.
like, but I'll take a little bit at a time.
Mm-hmm.
um, and just support is key. Like I said earlier, just having grace for myself, grace for him, and patience. Patience has been the biggest thing that, I've learned this year in myself and in him, that, I can do everything I can and sometimes it'll work out and sometimes it doesn't, but I just have to do my part
Mm-hmm.
and hope that hope that what I've done will help him
Yeah.
just a little bit, to continue on to next year. And then, keep going throughout his life. Like I have a student that I know of that's in fourth grade that was very similar, had a diagnosis of a behavior disorder. And that student is a star student in fourth grade and has mellowed out and is amazing. And I'm so proud of him. So I'm like, there is hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of the supports that that student had going through his schooling, I know that my student he'll do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then for me, there's a few things. I combined my self-development, my other development, but really for teachers, parents, and just us as humans, we have to understand that behavior should be understood. it's not going to be something that necessarily needs to just be corrected. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, what is going on and why? So you got to have some type of understanding behind it, and I think that goes for teachers, that goes for parents, it goes
Mm-hmm.
for people like in the outside world. Like when you're walking down the street and you encounter a stranger, and they might have some behaviors going on that you don't particularly care for. So it's not necessarily that it needs to be corrected right then and there, but
Mm-hmm.
really just understanding where that person is in their developmental stage. And then also, like Amanda, how you pointed out, patience. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to need some small, consistent changes, and you're going to need some patience with that because
Mm-hmm.
we might not see those changes happen in a couple months. We might not
Right.
see it happen in our school year with those students.
Mm-hmm.
And then for parents, they might not see it for a few months. It might take a couple years.
Yeah.
And so small, consistent changes and then for the parents for myself or my other development, they need guidance. Kids need guidance. They don't need just
Mm-hmm.
consequences. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like being in a PBIS school, we're so quick to say, well, all we're doing is rewarding. Well, it's
Hmm.
not that we're just rewarding, but kids don't need just consequences. When we're rewarding them, are we guiding them? Are we
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out the ones that maybe are not getting the PBIS points in the moment or they're not getting the praise? It's like, are we trying to figure out what's happening with them and what's triggering?
Yeah.
And so for my other developmental, like when we start talking about the strategies, I'll kind of point into the direction of what I guided the parents to do.
Hmm.
But really, it was just like, there's not going to be quick fixes. Everything's going to be long term.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to understand the why, and you're going to need to just be the support by answering that.
Hmm.
So, not just expecting to snap your fingers and say, okay, no PBIS points for you, no cell phone for you. Like, I'm going to take your cell
Right.
phone. That's going to fix it. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
Right.
So for myself, my growth insights, things that I did with my anxiety is, reminding myself that it's directly connected to my thought patterns. It's not something that just happens. So it's developed over time, over, 20 years of, experiences, tending to jump to conclusions and assume the worst, especially with my health, like I mentioned earlier with the dermatologist, and things that are just important to me, like the life that I have now. Shifting how I respond to situations instead of assuming the worst. So, like earlier, I talked about journaling, my aura ring. And really with therapy, I've just started doing EMDR therapy, which
Mm.
could be a whole other 20-minute session on its own, but it kind of helps retrain your brain with those like traumatic thoughts, um, to not necessarily like react to them. And it's really helped me as far as being able to work through what used to send me over the edge. And then for Elena, just reminding her that change doesn't happen overnight, and what she's going through is something that she's going to struggle with for the rest of her life, and she's just needs constant support, consistency, and encouragement. Like with if it's a daily text from me or a phone call or a visit when she does come home, and not just advice on what to do or change with her, but just being there to listen to her when she wants to
Mm-hmm.
vent about whatever's going on, and meeting someone where they are. And like I said, listening can be like way more powerful than giving her the advice of like, oh, this is what I would do. And not trying to fix everything right away, just reminding her that her growth takes time and that she has a strong support system here at home that she can always come back to, when she does feel overwhelmed or struggling.
Yeah, for sure. I think you sound like a really good friend to her.
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
so just kind of like wrapping up here, going into our strategies to use and take forward. For myself, it's all about like using a clock. Obviously, I like the word. I put it twice, the clock. And so, but taking it and making it manageable, kind of like I said, like when I get home, 15 to 20 minutes. Is that bringing the garbage can in? Is it unloading just the dishwasher? Um, is it, vacuuming the stairs? Things like that. Just something simple. And having that chart that I made was really helpful. And I didn't beat myself up about like if one day I didn't do one thing, but like seeing the progress of how, because I did it over several weeks, seeing the progress of
Hmm.
how I was able to complete more tasks. And then some days I'm like, that was a hard day and I didn't do anything.
Hmm.
um, so just making it manageable makes it not feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
Um, and so then for my student, like you said, Kimberly, patience. Patience has been my biggest friend this year. And grace, because
Yeah.
like you were talking about with the behavior, like it's it's the it's the reason, and so we got to get to move past that.
Hmm.
And so just having a heart of empathy and then hopefully planting these, little things into him will help him grow.
Yeah.
um and you never know the change. I'm like you said, I may not see the change now, but hopefully I will. Hopefully there's always a big maturity level that happens between first and second grade.
Yeah.
So hopefully, hopefully his second grade teacher watches him thrive.
Yeah.
Um,
And then for me, just kind of piggybacking off, so with my adolescent, with my teenager that I use, I did have her also do some journaling, some reflecting, like thinking back, okay, like, well, what did her day look like? How was it? Maybe when were her moments of anger? And I also did recommend therapy for her just because I feel like teens and kids in general just don't listen to parents. They got to
mm,
hear it from someone else.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so with the therapy, she can get those strategies. She can hear what she needs to hear from someone else as an outside source. They can also
Hmm.
give her the emotional support and strategies that she can use to
Hmm.
re-regulate her emotions. And then consistent boundaries. Are boundaries being set with the technology or is it free range? Are we given a cutoff time with the amount of technology used? Like we pointed out in the beginning of this presentation, limit the time. It's not
Hmm.
always needed, so scaling it back um, and being patient. So for her, I also recommended like a peer group because she's trying to find herself.
Hmm.
Hmm.
She goes to church, so I was like, maybe throw her into the adolescent peer group at church
Hmm.
because then she
Hmm.
can hang out with other kids who
Yeah.
are like her.
Hmm.
And that's a chance for her to also create the TikToks and the videos that she likes, but now she's doing it with a group of similarly minded kids her age.
Hmm.
And then for myself, I fell in love with the Lose It app over the past couple weeks.
I've heard of that.
I
I have
love it.
that.
I got the premium version. I like that I can track my food. I've been tracking my food. It gives me warnings like when I don't track my food, it's like, hey, friendly reminder, you have not
Hmm.
tracked your breakfast. And I'm like, oh snap, let me go ahead and put my stuff in and then you kind of get like little points when you get your streaks. So the Lose It app is definitely something I'm gonna be keeping. Um Journaling, I love to journal, but I have never just been like really intentional with it. So I try to make sure that I set a consistent time every night before I go to bed, before I close my eyes. Let me journal for a few minutes. I had like a timer on my hatch alarm and it kind of gradually dims down. By the time it goes down, I should be done. And then of course he talked about changing our environments. Yeah, I just have to really talk myself into taking the opposite turn in the grocery store. When my kids go left to get their stuff, I go right to the veggies and the fruits. And I have like just replaced the eating habits. The I'm already going to the gym, so I think the thing is just the food. It's like
Hmm.
take my mind off of it. It might not I might not be happy in the moment, but it's like at the end of the day, I'm not gonna feel bad for eating a pineapple, but I might feel bad for eating like 15 Reese's.
Same. That's my favorite one too.
My mom always says to stay on the outside of the grocery stores, like
Yeah.
not the
Right.
Uh-huh.
I
perimeter.
go turn I turn this way straight to the fresh
It also
produce.
helps if I do a pickup because that's just me. I live alone.
Hmm.
So if I do a pickup order,
Hmm.
I have to actually go searching for my groceries. So I don't
Right.
actually go searching for the stuff, the good,
Hmm.
the really good stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll focus on these and this. And that
Yeah.
Yeah.
that has helped me.
Yeah. So for me, just managing my anxiety takes intentional effort and consistency. So it's something where I have to do it or else I will spiral and not and lose the progress that I've made. Becoming more aware of my thoughts, what triggers my anxiety, and shifting my thinking patterns to not, it's the worst case scenario all the time. And just reminding myself that small changes over time can make a huge difference. So, what I'm doing now will eventually, as I continue it, help me in the future, and then being patient with myself during the process. So, again, just it's not going to happen overnight.
Hmm. Well, I have really loved talking to you ladies today.
Yeah.
Definitely like seeing the common themes, seeing I it sounds like I need to start journaling because you two journal. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
sitting
I
here
it.
gotta start
thinking,
journaling.
I need to journal. Maybe that is what I need to get back into. And
Get
I
you
Hmm.
can
some cute
journal about my
stickers.
checklist.
Yep. Markers, stickers,
Yeah,
stencils, and
all the things.
everything.
Oh, I have tons of markers. Yeah. For sure. Well, I've really enjoyed the time with you guys. Um, Anybody have any other comments want to leave us with?
Yeah, link them below, leave
Yep.
them in the
Just,
comments, and we'll answer your questions.
yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.